Hey everyone, I'm gonna share with you the one question I asked that saved my client over $20,000 when buying their house. It's a question that's so easy and so effective, I use it in pretty much any negotiation situation that I'm in. So here's the situation. My client's offer was accepted on a house at a price a little higher than what they wanted, but it was upgraded, move-in ready, it was a hot market, and they didn't want to miss out, so they went with it. They absolutely loved the house. The problem arose when the appraisal came back at $25,000 below the contract price, and this is normally a deal killer. Now my clients, they did have the funds to bring to the table if needed. They wanted a lower price anyway, so we decided to leverage this to get them a better deal. So I went to the listing agent, brought up the low appraisal, and her response was very bluntly, "We are not lowering the price just because of some appraiser's opinion." If you've ever gotten a low appraisal back as a listing agent, you absolutely know that feeling. And I empathized with her. I was like, I truly understand. I never would have thought that we wouldn't meet the contract price. It doesn't make sense. But and here's where I dropped the bomb. Here's where I dropped the $1 million question, or at least the $20,000 question in this situation. I just said, how can my clients bring an additional $25,000 at closing? How can they do that? And then I just stopped talking. I didn't say another word. And I don't have a way of describing this, but I could audibly hear the frustration going on in the head of the agent on the other side, the listing agent on the other side. It was literally, I could audibly hear her frustration. And she was not a new agent. She was a very sophisticated agent at a luxury brokerage, very experienced. She knew what she was doing, but this question totally stumped her because of what the question really does. By asking how, I'm asking her to solve my problem. We have a problem now as buyers that an appraisal came back $25,000 below the contract price. That's the problem, because ultimately what the real problem is, it would require the buyer to bring more money to closing. In this case, $25,000 more. So I asked her that question, and the way it's framed is how? How can my clients bring in an extra $25,000 to closing? And that question forces her to now try to solve my problem. And that's what I was hearing. I was hearing that frustration of, she's already pushed back saying, we are not going to lower the price. I empathize, totally understand. I don't even know why it came out lower to begin with, but how can my clients do that? How can my clients bring $25,000 extra to closing? So here's what happened. After a few minutes of very uncomfortable silence, not necessarily for me, but for her, she just said, I'll talk to my client. And she did, got a response back. They agreed to lower the price $20,000, which my buyer accepted, and went on to move to closing. This is the same question that I use on a personal transaction of mine, where it was the point of after inspection, the buyers, I was the listing agent and owner in this case, and the buyers came back with a punch list of items. They were actually items for a flip, which that's what this was. It was a flip project. They had a few repair items that they weren't safety issues by any means, but they were natural cosmetic things that we probably would have taken care of anyway. It wouldn't have been more than $1,000, $1,500, just basic cosmetics. And they came back, and they were things that normally I would have agreed to do. But in this case, I used the same question. I asked her, and this is the context, I framed it in how we've already structured the deal, both in price and any contribution, seller contribution that we had in the deal, and of course the home warranty. And I asked, based on all that, how can I do that? And again, it was an odd silence on the other side, and she was like, well, I'll go back and talk to the client. They dropped everything. They dropped everything. They didn't ask for anything. We went on to move to closing, and essentially I put an extra $1,000, $1,500 in my pocket because those were repairs that we did not have to do. So the question, how? How can I do that? It's a question that you can phrase in almost any phase of a negotiation whenever someone is presenting a problem to you and you rephrase it back to them, or you push a problem to them and ask how can they solve it for you. And by doing that, they look at it from a different lens at this point. They're trying to solve your problem, therefore now they can empathize with your problem and may even ignore the problem altogether. But it's always better when they are working on your behalf to solve your problem. That's how you can get better deals. This question, I'm not a negotiation expert. I learned it from the best negotiation expert there is, a guy named Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. I recommend this book to realtors and investors all day long. This book was so transformational that after reading it just for a few chapters or listening to it just for 30 minutes or so, you're gonna come away with takeaways that you can apply in your business today. This book was so impactful that I was willing to pay over $1,000 to attend a live conference, a 2-day conference with Chris Voss and his team to get in-depth training on negotiation. In addition to that, I actually paid for a team member of mine to go with me. So I paid double to get high-level training. That's how impactful this book is. And I do recommend that you not only read it, but listen to it on Audible, because some of the phrases, hearing the tones in the process of the negotiation is just as important as knowing what to do and what to say. So never split the difference. I'm gonna have a link in the notes below. Highly recommend you get it. And if you've used any of these strategies in real estate negotiation, whether you're an agent or an investor or really any kind of negotiation whatsoever, put it in the comments. So let me know how it's worked for you, whether it was mirroring or one of the what, how questions or labeling. Share it in the notes below. Love to hear your comments. If you got value out of this, click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so that way you get notified on future real estate tips and other videos that we have coming up in the future. Thanks.